What is going down, everyone? It's time for Mojobreak.com. The Hype 383 Disney Genesis is releasing. We've got some debut jerseys from Jordan and LeBron. We also have Paul Skenes coming out of the gate swinging on that debut patch over at Fanatics Collect Auctions. So lots of stuff to talk about. But join me this Wednesday if you missed out on the Disney Genesis drop and you didn't get any boxes. I'm doing a 10-box Pick Your Character break this Wednesday morning on Fanatics Live. So you can already go ahead and grab your characters right now. I think as I posted it, 5 went off the board, but you can get Spider-Man, Mickey Mouse, whoever you want in that break. And they only made 500 cases of this product, so it's not going to be around for very long. But we got an exciting week in the hobby. There's been so many products. We got baseball around the corner. Football free agency is dominating the airwaves as we're sitting here on a Monday. But Dan, how was your weekend? Dan was in Vegas. So probably don't want to be back here.
It was a good time. It's a good time. Actually, it was for being a weekend and for being a big UFC fight going on. It really wasn't as packed as you would think.
Yeah, they're showing some videos of Vegas being a little slow for some reason.
But overall, I mean, the weather was good. It was like 75 degrees. It was.
And you were the youngest person at the Eagles concert.
Yeah, the Eagles concert was absolutely phenomenal.
Wait a minute. That's the Sphere, right?
Yeah.
Oh, how was that?
So we waited it out, right? Like we waited, and about an hour before the concert started, we went on StubHub and we got center front row.
Oh.
And it was badass.
Oh, my God.
The second time I've seen him, but phenomenal show. Great musicians. Video? I got a little bit of video. Then my phone died. So
you know what then?
Because you have an Android.
But then you're like, you know what? Look at this big old Sphere. Let's just let it just soak all over me. You know?
It was. I wasn't sure how the floor seats would. I mean, I actually found myself just watching the band play. As opposed to like staring up like this, but you could still see everything that was going around. Like, it's just, it's a great venue. I know the Backstreet Boys are going to have a residency there.
I was about to say,
no way.
I saw the Backstreet Boys are having a residence. They're doing like 12 or 14 shows in July and August.
Yeah, I'm sure the wife will want to go to that.
And it's themed after the Millennium era. So, I'm like,
I'd highly recommend. I mean, you've been to the Sphere.
I saw the dumb movie,
but
there,
not
though.
for like a concert.
Right, you saw, that big movie.
Yeah, it wasn't very exciting.
Yeah,
Look, I mean, the place was packed. At least the concert was packed. That place probably holds like 15,000 people.
Yeah,
I feel like it is. There was a crap ton of like
a lot of stairs.
Just levels and levels, like 3 levels of people.
Yeah,
like it's.
And it's kind of a trek to get there. It's not super close if you're like, front of the
behind the strip,
MGM.
right?
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's near. Well, I
What's
guess
it attached to? Because I walked to
Venetian.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's on like the back side of the Venetian, so you have to walk all the way around to get to Las Vegas Boulevard. So it is a little bit like behind the Venetian. But it's something.
Gotta go.
I
gotta go. More Spheres. Let's build more Spheres.
Let's do it. Let's do a Mojo Backstreet Boys. Little. Can you name all 5 Backstreet Boys members?
Yes. Brian.
That's the hard one.
AJ.
Nick Carter.
Howie. Nick. And Kevin. Yep. Kevin was the.
Brian was the
quiet
one I couldn't remember.
Brian was like to me, Nick and Brian were like the 2 guys. Although AJ gets a lot of
with
sings
the
a lot
beard.
Of yeah. Anyway.
I was going to say, props to Cody. You guys got to check out his Lendell White on the break room here. If you're on Mojobreak Media watching
really
this, great interview by Lendell White. Very charismatic, great storyteller. And as we're sitting, the Instagram reel video up to 50,000. Marshawn Lynch commented on it. And Omar Bolden, Super Bowl champion, commented on it. So props to you and Alex for getting that thing going. And hopefully more to come and more viral videos and more great athletes coming on the show. So you guys got to check that one out right now. So, after you're done listening to this. But,
or if you're watching it, if you're watching this, it'll be the next video you get recommended. So just keep on watching.
Exactly. Yeah, just grab some popcorn and sit there and just watch us on all day, 8 hours. So Paul Skenes, $550,000. This thing shot up. We're talking about the debut patch on Fanatics Collect. You know, that the 11-year-old who's faceless pulled and, you know, got graded, and now it's up for auction. So if you want to bid on it, it's currently sitting at $550,000. And, I mean, it's a little questionable that it went up so fast, but I'm like, maybe the marketing and the tour of this thing really kind of had some people that have a lot of money.
But within, like, the end of day one, it was already at $500,000.
Yeah.
Or close to it. That's insane.
Maybe Seth Meyers is betting on it. You had him on the show. He's a big Pirates fan.
I think you've got probably a lot of people who weren't paying attention to this, who saw the stories about it, saw Paul Skenes on late night, and I mean, there's.
But why
really
wouldn't you wait for the auction to get closer to the ending point before you just like throw a $500,000 bid on day one?
Maybe somebody want to make a statement right out of the gate of like, this thing is gonna be mine. Like,
I mean, you never know. I mean, like, obviously we've seen the card was at the West Coast Card Show, formerly known as the Burbank Card Show. It was on display there. It was at the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
That's right.
Ruben made, because this is a new endeavor, right? Fanatics Collect is formerly PWCC, but it's now renamed, and they really are trying to get this thing going. Landing this card was the first step. He may have been like, Mike Trout, you're going to bid on this? You want this card, Mike Trout? You're going to have to drop a bid early. Bobby Witt, we know you collect cards. You're going to have to drop a bid early. Seth Meyers, like, he wants this thing to get news the whole time it's live, right? So he might be calling people that are interested in this card and be like, I need you to bid now. You know, because it's going to get this publicity. You got 10 days left. It's at $550,000. It's probably already making news. We're talking about it now currently. All you're doing is helping Fanatics Collect get a little bit more notoriety. This thing's probably going to end at $1 million. Is it worth $1 million? I don't know. It's going for $1 million, right?
I still think this falls short of $1 million. I mean, I think we all I think 500,000 was the highest prediction among the three of us.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be.
I think I went
south of that. I thought it was going to be less.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be in the 250 to 300, and it's well past that. So, you know, take our predictions with a grain of salt. But yeah, $1 million for this card. It just is hard for me to wrap my head around. But the marketing machine here clearly worked, as far as we could tell. If you know, we don't know what else is going on. We know that the marketing, though, has been in overdrive for this thing.
And it's not the only debut patch that is on Fanatics Collect at the moment, right?
That's the other shocking part is, and to me, this does kind of explain why is this one so big so quickly, because they were promoting the hell out of it. We've known about it for months.
Well, it was at the Super Bowl.
It was at the Super Bowl versus Jackson Holidays, which is
with Skenes and Livy Dunn.
Jackson Holidays ungraded.
Not at the Super Bowl.
$50,000 currently.
Okay.
$500,000 less than this. And again, if
hitter though.
Right, a year ago, if you just went the way this hobby works. Oh, the number one pitcher and the number one hitter from that rookie class are both, their best card is available at the same time. It's like, yeah, of course the hitter's going to outdo crazy.
But this thing almost becomes beyond bigger than an actual player and being a pitcher.
Yep.
I think it's because, you know, the first year of the debut patch, we just had Jordan Walker, Volpe. There wasn't a lot of big names. I don't even think any of those cards sold for six figures. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the highest selling debut patch before this was about like 80,000. So we haven't had a huge sale on a debut patch. But this is the one that people were talking about even in 2023 that, well, when Skenes comes out, it's going to be crazy, right? We didn't know Skenes was going to be called up in 2024, but we had an idea. It just become like, even if he doesn't even have a good year and he fades into oblivion, it's like the moment and the bigness of the card. It's why Zion's cards still kind of sell for a lot, even though he's, you know.
Don't sell for as much as they did, though. Not even close to it.
But it's just like the lore of it. It's bigger than the card, in my opinion.
I would be really interested. Jackson Holiday, obviously, that's a big name, but actually, I know there's probably people being like, not the top rookie hitter. Ellie De La Cruz. We haven't even seen that one yet. And if you want to make the argument just based off of track record, a guy who showed a lot of promise in his rookie season, became an all-star last year, stole 60 bags last year, looks like he is going to be a lock for 40 homers, 40 stolen bases at some point in his career, plays a premier position at shortstop. You would think, well, that should outsell Paul Skenes, but it probably won't.
Well, it'll probably somehow get pulled after this auction, and then the Reds will make an offer for season tickets for life.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe. Then we have a whole other marketing campaign. What are the chances that the Ellie De La Cruz gets sold on Fanatics Collect? What do you guys think the percentage
I don't know.
is?
Well, we know it's been pulled, right? It's definitely been pulled. So
Has it?
Yeah, it's been pulled.
Okay.
But it's not a $500,000 card.
It's not, but the logic says that the Paul Skenes shouldn't be. And I know he did incredible things last year, and I know he is maybe he could be by the end of the season. There's a more than halfway decent chance Paul Skenes is the best pitcher in the world.
To justify a potential $1 million price tag, we are saying that Paul Skenes, when everything is said and done, will be the greatest to ever do it at his position. I think that's the only way that the card sustains its value.
But that's logical thinking. I don't think the person that's buying this is logically thinking. Somebody spent $6 million on a banana that had a piece of painter's tape on it. So honestly, I think you're getting into a club of people that just want to say they have it. They don't care about how Paul Skenes does. This shows you, literally what this show's name is called a hype. This was the number one hyped card. I mean, it was on Seth Meyers. What other sports card that's new was ever on a show?
What it shows is the marketing might and the difference where we were 4, 5, 6 years ago to where we are now, that Topps and Fanatics is putting behind this stuff now.
The closest thing I can compare it to, though, is 2010 with the Strasburg, because that had like media attention, the one-of-one Superfractor, like that. Before that, that had like Yahoo had like a whole thing on it. That was like unheard of at that time for a card to a modern day card potentially be like worth $1 million. And now I feel like you fast forward, 15 years, like $1 million price tag on a modern day card is not an insane value.
But
back
cards,
in 2010, it was.
It was. I think even six figures back then was like, no way. That's, I want to know where this would rank right now. If it ended at 550, where does it rank with modern card sales? I can't remember a card, at least in the last 3 years, baseball card-wise, that sold for this much. I mean, the Wtih Superfractor, which obviously would sell for a lot more now, that sold for $180,000.
Yeah. I mean,
the Mike Trout. Now, Vegas Dave, how does he do it? $3.5 million on that Mike Trout Superfractor. We'll never be able to. You probably can't even get $1 million out of that now.
Right now, if this is a Wikipedia article that has the 45 top selling cards of all time on here, confirmed sales. It would be sandwiched. It would be the 45th already. It would already be on that list, eclipsing Steph Curry's 910 Chrome Gold Refractor rookie card, BGS 10 Black Label. It would already eclipse that.
So that's what I'm saying. There's probably not been a baseball card in the last 8 years that has sold for this much.
The closest would be the Trout.
Right. And
that's it. Yeah, that one-of-one Trout would sell for $4 million.
But the Ohtani's tricky because they have the hitting and the pitching.
Right.
Superfractor. You had one in Bowman Chrome and one in Bowman Flagship.
Yep.
So that if there was only one true first Bowman, and neither one of them have first. Like he already had a Chrome card in the WBC stuff. So he wouldn't have like that first true Superfractor.
Probably that number to 17. Bowman Mega out of Transcendent. Somebody I know got PSA 10 on it. Probably that one's the most valuable one ever. Yep. Probably the most valuable.
Very well.
Probably been it on Wikipedia.
Very, very well could be.
But it sold it for $18,000. So
we still haven't seen a ton of the biggest Ohtanis go up for sale. I mean, that's really what's holding it back. Is I think if one of the 3 biggest Ohtani cards goes up for sale. I'll even say 5. Then I think it probably would eclipse the Paul Skenes, but I really don't know anymore because you said it. Like half of this, I feel like is just the buzz, the marketing, the hype all around it. It's like to say I did it. I have that card that everybody was talking about. That someone could have gotten season tickets to the Pirates for life for. Now I have that card. And it is as much marks a moment in time as it is a reflection of the player himself, who, again, I don't want to take anything away from Paul Skenes. Amazing. He started the All-Star game last year after playing a month and a half. Like, he is an exceptional talent that we have not seen in many years. Is he $1 million talent for his rookie card? I don't know.
Imagine we got in a time machine. We went back to 2020, and it was like, Jason Dominguez, right? We're chasing Jason Dominguez. And I would have told us that in 2025, there's going to be a Pirates pitcher that's going to have the best-selling card of the last 10 years, maybe 20 years.
Well,
you guys would have slapped me.
No. Well, Cody's been saying that over and over and over. The year it's been the year of the pitcher for 5 years.
You are Costradamus.
I don't know why I'm being so like, wow, I can't believe it's happening. Yeah, you're right.
You should be like, I knew this was going to happen.
Yep. I've been calling my shot. Sometimes you got to hit them at one point. A broken clock's right twice a day. So I got it right this time. You're the pitcher. Yeah. We're here. And and I said it. Roki Sasaki. It's right down the.
I've heard you say Jack Leiter. I've heard you say Kumar Rocker.
Fine, sure. I've gotten some wrong. Kumar Rocker, by the way, is looking good. I think he's actually going to be.
Roki Sasaki's getting roped though, supposedly.
Yes,
but it is early.
He is. Roki, it's happening. Just get ready for it. It's what we're seeing with Skenes. It's going to happen again.
I want to see that same energy with Kyle Harrison. I mean, I know it's like a second.
Look, I would love to see that. I would love to see Kyle Harrison be the next. The next $500,000 debut patch.
Oh yeah, because I don't think did he have one last year?
I don't think he has had one. I have not seen it. Someone correct me. I have not seen a Kyle Harrison.
Did Jung-Ho Lee have a?
He had one. Is there a chance that Eldridge can have one this year?
If that happened, well, he'd have to get called up basically before Memorial Day for that to happen, which I don't see happening.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I'd be if that happens.
Is the team loaded?
If that happens, a lot of things. He's 20.
It's not like he's a pitcher.
He's 20. He has played not even 10 games.
Yeah, but
above.
We need to put some meat in the seats over here. We need to get some excitement.
Give it time. He's only 20. Give it time.
Can we get Barry Bonds back on the team?
Oh, man, if you saw his... By the way, great... Talk about a great interview.
Yeah, with the Smoke podcast, yeah.
It's great last week. Some great moments. And then I don't know if you saw, this going off a little bit, talked about how he's like, I could still hit 100 miles per hour today.
Yeah, that was
I don't know if I can hit it out, but I can hit it. And then Andrew McCutchen replied and said, if you guys think he's lying, I saw this man at spring training when I was with the Giants in whatever it was, 2018.
Yeah.
And he goes up there. He's wearing slacks and dress shoes and a button-up shirt with a tie. And he goes up there and he digs in. And first pitch, he hits it. It fouls. He gets it and he fouls it. It goes straight up. And he said there was a camera up there and he hit the ball so hard the camera completely just exploded. Just completely cracked and exploded. He's like, this man could still do it. Like, to this day. It's
crazy.
Pretty cruel.
6 years old. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to parallel that. You have the Wemby Logoman from NT, 1 of 1. Isn't it 1 of 1?
It's a 1 of 1.
Oh yeah, because it's the auto. It's the auto version because they have the number to 5 non-auto. I mean, it's not autoed, but it's meant to look like an auto.
Does it say no auto on it?
It says 23, 24 rookie in the auto spot.
Okay.
$180,000. Now, maybe a product of bad timing, but ask Mr. Golden's, the dad with the jersey. He'll agree with you there. But $180,000. So the Skenes right now is double that, almost triple.
And I don't think that's just Wemby's hurt. Like I don't think I mean I think a little bit of it is that, but still a year ago you say this. And you even say Wemby's hurt. He's going to get out of the year.
As a long-term investment, though, which one? I mean, the Wemby has to be the better long-term investment.
Give me the Wemby. And I don't even think it's a question. It's cool, and I think there's going to be there's something kind of symbolic about the debut patch where like it could be ushering in a new era where like baseball collectors are like, that's the card now. Maybe I don't want the Bowman 1/1 Superfractor, first Bowman Superfractor.
I want the debut patch.
Maybe I want the debut patch instead. And maybe when Topps gets the
Well,
license fully for NFL and NBA, they're like, I don't think this will happen. I think the Logoman and the Shield will still be king, but I think NFL and NBA collectors will be like, I don't have a complete collection until I have
this auction. If this auction ends for $1 million, you might be onto something. That could be the grail of any one card. That could be it. That could overtake the Superfractor.
Right, because with the Superfractor, you have the non-auto, you have the, and then you're going to have a Superfractor.
And
all
think
the other
about
sets.
this. This would be Fanatics' first big IP in the card industry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. This is why the marketing, I think, went into overdrive. They're like, this is the one we can hone in on. We're going to hone in. We're going to put all our efforts to Paul Skenes. I think maybe they didn't see that as like, if we try to do that with Ellie De La Cruz or Jackson Holiday or Jackson Merrill, it's not going to hit the same. But like Skenes comes up, is the sensation 1 year in. He's got a very famous social media presence with his girlfriend. It's kind of like the marketing machine could go into overdrive. I think that.
do we think these debut patches? And I know they have them in MLS.
Yes.
Do you think they will translate? Because look, if they're successful in baseball, they're going to do whatever they can to put them on a football jersey
They
or a
already have
basketball
it.
jersey.
They have them for football already.
Yep.
We have not seen it for basketball yet. That's the only thing. But they'll probably do it once it happens. But yeah, as far as they keep saying with those patches that they put it, because they started this last year with football.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep saying, no, it's not for anything. They keep saying, no, it's just a nice little signifier. I wouldn't be shocked if the first officially licensed.
Did they have them last year for football?
Yeah, they've had them for 2 straight years
Yeah,
now.
players have been wearing them, but they haven't been
Okay.
in
Right, but
product.
they keep saying this is just a nice little thing. They keep saying da-da-da.
And it's only for their first game, right?
Right. And I would not be shocked if come the very first officially licensed NFL product with logos for Topps that we see a backlog of these guys of like, oh, here's CJ Stroud's, here's Anthony Richardson's, here's Caleb Williams, here's all of their debut patches
And licensed.
exactly, where they can finally use it.
Yeah,
licensed.
because
Wouldn't surprise me.
you have a patch like that. Do you want to use it in an unlicensed product?
Right.
You
And
probably
then
just
could-
want to hold on to that inventory and.
And you could make some product. You could make like 500 million boxes of it. Just because if you have 3 years worth of debut patches in there,
I think we
like
talked
300 different debut patches.
I think we talked about it. It could be basically
It very well could just be a Topps Chrome update
yeah.
football.
Yeah.
It could be like their contender style product of just like everyone's here and it's all of their debut.
or they
patches,
stretch it
whatever
out.
they're
They
called.
use like Stroud 1 year, and then they use Jaden Daniels the next year. So now you have like a Jaden Daniels rookie in like 2026 or
Well,
something.
it's funny you brought that up. CJ Stroud, and I don't know if like you guys saw any of this, but in Finest, CJ Stroud has a rookie auto.
Yes, Mercury.
Yeah.
Mercury.
Which makes me think, were they trying to make a CJ Stroud Mercury product?
We posted it up because I did post up the photo of we pulled it or Marcos pulled it in a Fanatics
Hakeem
live
Elijah
break.
one, yeah.
It was a Mercury Superfractor dual auto of CJ Stroud and Hakeem, and then a number to 10 of that throwback design. There's some speculation of they were gonna do a Mercury Stroud and then Mercury
Yeah,
Wemby
because I think
didn't do
there's
as
10
well.
dual autos on that checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And then you basically have Akeem Olajuwon on the Rockets, CJ Stroud. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you do like a Wyatt Langford or somebody on like the
Yeah,
Rangers,
somebody on the Rangers.
or somebody on the Houston Astros.
Right. Oh yeah, you're right.
Did you guys also see those mystery ones? You got
to peel them off? Is that the one?
So there was a card. It was Tom Brady, Steve Grogan, and Drew Bledsoe on the back, and it said mystery, mystery, mystery. So it's one of those guys. This one happened to the guy that pulled it and peeled it, and it was Tom Brady. Wasn't an auto though, but it was like you don't know which player it could be. I mean, pretty bummed out. You get Steve Grogan there, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Bledsoe's second.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of a throwback to the finest basketball. They called them the test refractors, where they had the film really hard to pull off. But because I had a box break I did of a retro break of it, and it was really hard to get the film off of it. But they did that for this too. So I thought initially finest was just going to be literally like the same checklist as Chrome, but they added a few surprises, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Mercury Stroud dual autos checklist now. So it's Stroud, Drew Brees, Stroud, Eddie George, Houston Oilers. So there's a couple of Houston Oilers in there. Stroud, Warren Moon, Travis Scott, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Vick, J.J. Watt, Victor Wembanyama, and Bryce Young.
Didn't Stroud and Wembanyama have one in Mercury?
In Mercury.
And Wembanyama Mercury?
Yeah,
So this is the Stroud.
And I want to say Travis Scott is from Houston, no?
I think so, yes.
So
And again, also always available for an auto for Michael Rubin.
Yeah.
now, I mean, I think we talked about it, and Stroud had a great rookie year, but I don't know if you could make a Stroud standalone
And maybe
product.
they realized that, and that's why they.
Not after. I mean, it's not like he had a bad second year. Like he had a good second year, and also would have probably had a better second year if half of his team was healthy or half his offense was healthy. So maybe it's that too. It was just like, it's not, the time isn't right.
Well,
It's not
there
as
was
high.
some weird stuff going on because I don't know if you guys remember back in 2023, after that historic season he had, there was rumors that Stroud was going to Panini because, or not going to Panini, but going to be signing for Panini because he didn't like his deal with Topps somehow. So I wonder if they made the Mercury dual autos to get them signed, with Wembanyama's stuff as well, and they were going to, but he wasn't signing, and they just missed the boat. And they had these cards; they had to put him in something. So maybe they were going to put out because if it would have came out in 2023, absolutely, it probably would have done okay at least. Yeah. But it's kind of hard for them to make money on those big players that they signed to $5 million a year exclusives when you can only make 3 or 4 products a year and use some Topps Now stuff. So I think they were probably planning on doing Mercury, and then it just panned out to work out better for Wembanyama, and that's when it got released. So they may have had those left over and had to put them somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's also just a lot of testing. And there's a lot of throwing stuff against the wall right now. Still,
It just would have been tough to put a $10,000
Right.
potential value on a
Right.
Just
on,
CJ Stroud,
on 10,
unlicensed, yeah.
10 CJ
I
Stroud
think
cards.
they're like, we can test this with Wemby, and I feel like that price tag is going to be easier for people to swallow for a Wemby rather than for CJ Stroud. So hey, let's test it out with him, see if it works, and go from there. And I think that's basically all of their unlicensed stuff. And we talked about it last week. That I think it's a lot of trial and error right now.
Yeah, poor Golden. We've got, the debut patch for Paul Skenes going Fanatics Collect. We have the debut jerseys of Jordan and Kobe in Sotheby's auctions. I don't know how makes me wonder if one collector had both of these forever and they're in the same auction this week. And then Golden had the Cheetos art. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I know he went out there and he was like, call me first, the debut patch, it's not fair. It's not fair. You got to call me first. But, 2 big auctions that aren't going to Golden, which we always tout the first place you should go is Golden. But these jerseys that are going to Sotheby's are expected to, you're saying, what, $10 million?
The estimates that I've been reading is that they are estimating each one is going to break the record for game-worn jerseys.
I
at
think
over
I
10
think this
million.
I think this price point's a little
Yeah.
like it. I don't know if it's in Golden's wheelhouse.
Not for jerseys.
Not
Cards,
for
I'd
not for
say.
jerseys.
Which
to
Sotheby's,
be,
that feels like it's that's exactly. It's so. This is huge. These are like pieces of history on top of everything else. So, yeah, I think that's part of the math too. But
I mean, these are arguably the top 5 basketball jerseys game worn of all time. Both of them.
Yeah, I think it's probably 1, and you could make the argument it's 2.
Well,
minimum 3.
maybe LeBron maybe.
Right. That's it. I don't know if
Curry maybe.
Yeah, I think though, and I say that as someone who does not have Kobe in my Mount Rushmore. I think though Kobe
You're going to get a lot of hate for that one.
Oh yeah, well I know it, but culturally and you talk about L.A. To me, Kobe is probably in the number 2 there, and what they did with him in Los Angeles, some of the titles they won. Yeah, I think it's the second.
And then Kobe's is not signed. and
It's not insane.
and Michael Jordan is.
Yeah. So the Jordan might just fly past that 10 million. I think it could be closer to maybe even 12, 15 potentially.
Yeah, because there's, how many this not only debut, but how many game-used Jordan jerseys that are signed are out there?
Right.
There can't be a ton.
Right.
And this is, you could make an argument, the best one besides maybe like a finals game. Like I mean,
Which actually, I was just looking it up. What was the previous record holder? It is Michael Jordan's game-worn 1998 NBA Finals jersey, sold for $10.1 million in September of 2022. There you go.
See, I think I'd rather have Kobe's prom suit when he went with Brandy to the prom. I'm just kidding. No, I'd rather have the debut jersey. But it's insane. It's an insane time for auctions right now with the Wembanyama Logoman, the Paul Skenes debut patch, and then these 2 game-used jerseys is just absolutely insane. Would you trade Mojobreak for both these jerseys? Like,
not just one, huh? Both of them.
Somebody gets the company, and then you get the 2 jerseys.
Ooh. I have to think about that. A little coin flip on that one. I have to do a little coin flip to see.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Now I'm seeing, most valuable basketball jersey, I think, is the big thing. Basketball jersey. Because I was going to say, I do remember that Babe Ruth called shot jersey.
That was a lot.
That sold for way more than $10 million. So this is still going to be for basketball jerseys.
How do you photo match that?
I know, yeah.
How do you photo match that?
Watch that black and white.
Yeah,
photos.
I do remember there was a little controversy of like, are we sure this is the one?
You would hope if it's going for that much money.
Yeah,
you
which
would
I think
hope.
it ended up going. That one was close to $25 million for the Babe Ruth called shot. So don't know if it'll get there, but I think the Jordan maybe sniffs it, but I don't think it gets. 20 million is a big number.
Was that when Ruth with
The Yankees?
Was he with the Yankees, or was he with? Or that was later in his career, and he was with the Boston Braves.
When he went back to the Boston Braves. Yeah, no, 1932 World Series against the Chicago Cubs.
The called shot.
The called shot.
Wasn't there rumors that there was like a disabled kid out there too, or something like that?
So there's all sorts of There's even the whole called shot thing is put into question of like, was he calling a shot? Was he actually just stretching out and like not? There's all sorts of things about.
He's
it.
like, ugh.
Yeah, just kind of went, ugh! And they're like, oh, he's calling his shot. The old Babe, just calling his shot. 100 years of storytelling. And
Can you do the voice from the announcers back then?
Here's old Babe Ruth stepping up to the plate. Looks like he's calling his shot there. My goodness. What a grand proposition. No.
That's perfect. I couldn't even attempt to do it. I knew you had it in your wheelhouse.
They all, for some reason, they all sounded like they just sucked some helium before.
Yes.
And they're like, all right, buddy, time to
He's a swell fellow.
time to watch some baseball here on the radio.
And they all had those little flat hats.
Oh, yeah.
The flat hats,
Like a big, like
maybe bow ties, probably.
definitely bow tie. Yeah, if you showed up to a game,
Smoking cigars.
Yeah, if you showed up to a game, one, without a cigar in your mouth, and two, dressed like we're currently dressed right now, you'd be jailed for at least a month.
They're like, you're in your pajamas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people would come in with this, like, they would be like the Derby now. They come in like, button down head to toe,
Right, exactly. They gave their giveaways back then were just free stogies to the kids. Like, here you go,
Might
kid.
as well.
People used to take pride in their appearance when they would go to events.
That's true. It's true. It's like you kind of talk about our Disney stuff. If you watch first footage of the first year at Disneyland.
Oh, everybody's all in
People are
suits.
in slacks and suits and dress shoes. Women are in their Sunday best. It's crazy. And there they are going on Dumbo and just wearing the
pirates.
nicest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, just Splash Mountain probably ruined that. They're like, not going to get this all wet,
Right,
So,
yeah, I couldn't do it on a water ride. Yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned your Mount Rushmore. I want to know before we move on to some high value auctions, cards of the week here. What's your Mount Rushmore of basketball?
I think for me, I go MJ, LeBron. I go Steph. And then I say Magic. Steph and Magic are two guys to me where I'm like, you could say there are maybe better players, but two guys to me that redefine their position.
No
redefine
Bill
the
Russell.
game. I don't put Bill Russell there. I know.
You just,
I know.
Did he win too many championships?
Yeah, he won too many. One too many.
Wilt.
Wilts. I know. I should go Wilt too. It's too hard. It's hard.
Well, those guys were playing.
Those
Everybody
are
was like
my
5'1", and
Those
they were
are
7 foot.
Guys who usher, like, to me, Magic, I know MJ gets all the credit, but like Magic Bird, that like totally changes how people view the NBA. He changes the position.
But you'll take Magic and not Bird.
I will, because I think he also redefines a position as well, where what a point guard is able to do on the floor versus
What about
what
yours?
they were.
LeBron, Jordan, and I think everybody can probably agree with that.
I think
right?
those two are, if
Like,
they're not.
LeBron might not be in mine. I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
Not after what that flop he did this weekend. He's right off
That's
my Mount
it.
Rushmore.
He's off.
LeBron, Jordan. It's tough to not put Bill Russell up there because of how many championships. It's tough not to put Wilt up there because of what he achieved.
100 points, yeah.
It's tough to not put Steph up there. One, I'm a homer, and two, he did change the game.
Yep.
I wouldn't put Magic. Kobe is probably one of the most clutch players, but I don't think that justifies being on the Mount Rushmore. So I probably would go Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain.
And that's a good Mount Rushmore.
Now, I do think that there is a point when everything's said and done that Curry could be on there. But I don't think I can put him in there now.
If he wins
Quite yet.
one more title, I don't even think there's a question he's on there. That's just like
Yeah, I mean, mine would be Ronnie Cycli, Dennis Scott, Shaq. No,
Jameer Nelson.
Jameer Nelson. No, I'm going. Jordan, Kobe, Curry, and Bill Russell.
No LeBron.
Okay,
No
that's
LeBron.
that's just ridiculous.
When you
you're
when you
you're
move
here-
when you move teams to win championships, the other guys stayed on the teams
You're
to win
just
championships.
yeah.
He did.
Wow.
Well,
He'd be on.
Michael Jordan
he'd probably
did play on the Washington Wizards. Lest we forget.
Yeah,
He did,
but
go
he
to the
got all of
Washington
his
Wizards.
work done on the Bulls.
You're right.
you know?
You're right. The Wizards was just hey, remember me? I used to play basketball. But here I am again.
Jordan always had a heck of a supporting cast. Not saying LeBron did not have a great supporting cast.
What, Zydrunas Ilgauskas is just chopped liver?
There were some years in Cleveland where it was LeBron and LeBron.
And they didn't win
and
the
LeBron.
titles.
The 2007 Cavaliers
they got
who
to
got
one.
there.
They got
is-
there.
That is insane that they got to the finals. The Eastern Conference also back then, I think it's still a little weaker than the West, but it was like bad back then, where like 3 teams were good and the rest were just
That team
garbage.
I don't even know if that team would have come out of the West.
No, they wouldn't have.
Like, I don't even know if they make the
They'd
playoffs.
have been like the 8th seed,
Yeah.
7th seed, solely on LeBron's back.
Yeah, but LeBron might be like, he's definitely my top 10. But I mean, I'd have to think if I had to have a fifth, if it would be Bird or him. I'd have to think about that.
Wow.
You know who gets no love? Steve Nash.
Steve Nash.
Steve
How many titles
Nash.
did he
He's
win?
not a
Multiple
I think he
MVPs.
gets-
Multiple MVPs.
Right, which is why I say he gets a proper
Top
amount
25.
of love. He gets a proper amount of love. Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer. He's an all-timer. No way he's on a Mount Rushmore of basketball.
He's on my personal Mount Rushmore.
He's on the Santa Clara Mount Rushmore, of course.
100%.
Him and Randy Wynn.
Absolutely.
That might and Pods.
And Pods. And we're gonna have to think of a
Kurt Rambis.
there you go. Boom.
Kurt Rambis.
We did it.
What
Brent Jones, San Jose State.
Yeah.
Right?
That's San Jose State.
what an amazing Mount Rushmore.
We did it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Rambis.
It's not a
That's
bad.
good.
You know what? There's a lot worse Mount Rushmores than that. There's a lot worse ones.
yeah.
It's a lot worse.
Is Rambis's like kid involved in that point guard show that they're the shooting point? Because there's somebody named Rambis.
Oh, that's
Title.
a good. Is it?
Oh, that Netflix show.
Yeah.
That's like about Jeannie Buss, but not.
Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
I see Rambis.
It does have. If you've watched Winning Time, it has a lot of Winning Time
Vibes.
Nice.
to it, like
Okay.
Winning Time vibes. Except, like, I think they try to make it a little bit of a comedy at
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
and Winning Time, I don't think had. Even though John C. Reilly's hilarious,
The humor comes from the situation. It's all
Yeah.
situational humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't have on the slides, but we forgot that I just reminded me because we were talking about Jordan. I don't know if you guys saw that clip of Arena Club and Jim Rome with Jeff Wilson.
I did.
That one, hard not to go the route of conspiracy.
Completely random pack.
So if you guys didn't see the clip, Arena Club does these buybacks that they're digital packs, but they're real collectibles, and you can open them at your convenience. And Jim Rome's been sponsored by Arena Club for a while. I don't know where Jeff Wilson's involved in this. Maybe he's an investor in Arena Club. But Jeff Wilson was on Jim Rome in the morning, and they opened up an Arena Club pack, and it was the $1,000 level pack. I think it's called their Platinum pack, maybe. And it was the 9.5 Jordan 86 Fleer, which is about a $50,000, anywhere from a $35,000 to a $50,000 card. Literally, the Grail card is opened by Jim Rome.
I was like, that was the number one card in that print run, right? Without a doubt.
I gotta be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't include a rookie Jordan and not have it be your number one.
Yeah, the optics
Not
great. Not great.
Yeah,
Not great.
Even
I mean, if you're going to...
maybe it was real, but...
Maybe it was real, but if you're going to rig it, you would think that you would want like a $5,000 card.
Right.
It's like a good card.
It's the classic. It shows me if this, again, just hypothetically, there you go. Let's just put that out there. Hypothetically, it shows me that whoever put this all together has never cheated on a test before. When you cheat on a test, you don't get 100%. You
got to miss a couple.
You make sure. If you got 100 questions on there, you got like 8 wrong.
Yeah, you got to.
An A- is a lot more believable than an A+. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there was a lot of hate in those comments. I mean, maybe it is organic because it's so dumb that it happened. That maybe it was just a luck of the draw. I mean, would it have been okay if it's like, Jim's going to get one of the cards in the run, but this is going to be still available on Arena Club? Would that have been better, or would it not been?
Yeah, do it like a preview and be like, well, this is just to, market and show. But then people would say the same exact thing. They're like, okay, of course you're showing like the most expensive card that you can hit. That's not really transparent with the full run. It was also the reaction. I mean, I don't know. It just the
also
reaction.
haven't seen Jim Rome in a long time is what I realized.
He didn't really seem that excited about the card.
No, because frankly, I don't think he cares that much.
I mean, he's not really.
Look,
I haven't seen him very excited since Jim Everett anyway.
Yeah.
So
never seen him excited.
Yeah,
taking those long pauses.
Long pause.
Long pauses.
He loves the pregnant pause.
Because I think he's reading a script. I think he did his radio show full on scripted.
I think a lot of it was, I don't know if it was full on scripted, but yeah, it almost felt like it.
Well, the way he would pause, it was like, I'm going to read the next line.
Right.
Pause.
No, it's meant for you to. It's meant for you guys to think about what he said.
Pause. He never was the biggest Rome guy.
All right, let's finish this thing off with cards of the week. Some of the biggest single sale cards from the past week. There was a 2004 Upper Deck Trilogy, LeBron James patch auto numbered to 25. PSA 10 that sold for $200,000. I'm an Upper Deck, old school Upper Deck fan. I think the card's kind of ugly, honestly, but, it is a LeBron rookie, right? So, or is that a second year? Because it would be.
I believe that. Yeah. Even the
label. It would be
label
2003, right?
Even the label says 04. It doesn't say 03, 04. I was a little confused on that.
How much?
$200K. Maybe it's hard to get that in a grade of a 10.
I think so.
That's interesting. Second highest card sale. And this is a rookie. It's not the Logoman you want, but it's a 2009-2010 Panini NT Steph Curry Logoman numbered to 5, non-auto. BGS 9.5 sold for $196,000. I mean, I'd much rather have that card personally.
It's a good deal. It's a good value right there. I like it.
Third was a Topps Chrome
gold?
LeBron Gold 9.5 for $196,000.
Really?
Now, would you rather have that or would you rather have the Trilogy?
I feel like you do not see those golds
not
pop
in that
up a
grade
lot.
either.
Yeah.
And then our old friends at Star Collectibles. We love the stars around here, signed Jordan Star 8.5 with a 9 auto, $173,000. And then last but not least, a PSA 6 Holy Grail 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 6, 153,000. Speaking of that card, did you see the one with the hole punch through it that
Yes.
That Brian Gray
bought for $16,000?
Still for a hole punched in it, still $16K.
Hey, I'm not going to deny I might have bought that.
Oh,
yeah, I think
yeah.
it's one of those where you just say, this is the lowest price I'm ever going to get a Mickey Mantle for.
Yeah.
So might as well grab it. There's another one, I think, currently up for auction where the front looks great and the back is basically torn off. So that, and I think they're projecting it still in almost the 20 to 25K range.
Jeez. Yeah. I know PSA 1s are like almost 40,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Can you imagine, like, I think my dad obviously wasn't around then, but like maybe my grandfathers that they were just probably throwing those cards around.
Yeah.
They're just throwing $50,000 to $100,000 cards, maybe $1 million cards around, just like it was no big deal. Just if you only had the foresight of, and then the whole story of the 52 getting dumped into the ocean too, right? There was so many of them that were destroyed because nobody even wanted it, and they had to clear out the warehouse for the 53s, so they had no more room for 53, and nobody wanted the 52. They just dump it. So crazy.
Yeah, it's why I know we talked about it on a previous episode about like, I think it was after Shohei had his crazy season of like, is anything gonna ever be as big as the Mickey Mantle? I think we all said maybe Shohei one day. Well, now clearly it's Paul Skenes, but I'm now really thinking like I don't think it ever happens because we just don't. We now have. We're so hyper aware of the value of this stuff. We're so aware of like it has to be protected immediately on day one. We have to get it slabbed up and all this that like something like this where people didn't know what the hell they had. The last time you could say maybe that happened was with Pokemon, where that's why that Series 1 stuff from Pokemon is so expensive because it was kids who had it. It was me as a little snot-nosed kid not knowing what I had.
Well, baseball card historians, if anybody's listening, I'm pretty sure there was no top loaders in the 50s.
No.
Probably not even a binder to put it in.
No.
That said,
So
there
what
was-
are you doing with your card? You're just throwing it around.
There was 50 years of collecting at that point. There was plenty of people collecting still.
But I don't think anybody
Not-
looked at
not
it
at
as
that point.
monetary value. There's actually a really good podcast with Brian Gray did one with I think it might have been not Mastro, but there was a guy that owned Pinnacle, and he talks about like the old Nationals that nobody was thinking of value. It was just like, I need this card to complete my set. I'll trade you this card. And then sometimes they would put in magazines, I got this card for 10 cents, 20 cents, whatever. That was the only way to sell. But it wasn't even people were trying to buy it for monetary value. They were just trying to buy it to complete their sets. So, so back then they weren't looking at these cards as like, I don't like to say the I word, if Ben Wilson's listening and be like, it's not an investment. But, nobody thought of it as like, this is going to put my kids through college or my grandkids through college if I save this card.
Yeah.
So
That's really only a modern, like really Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck era is when that really starts where it's like, this is, that
Ken
that
Griffey
mindset.
Jr. With the '84 Don Mattingly,
Yeah.
I think had a lot of buzz around it as well.
Well, the PSA 000001 is the Honus Wagner, the Gretzky Wagner, right? That was like literally the first
card that was graded
by PSA.
Yeah.
Disney Genesis. We're going to be breaking some on not only our website, but we have a break posted. Pick your character on Fanatics Live. This was only distributed through Topps.com, so we're seeing a lot of boxes on eBay. Only way for somebody like us to get it, not being offered through distribution or anything like that. We predicted that there's about 500 cases made, about 50,000 boxes, 10 times 500. Sorry, my math isn't good on a Monday here, but 50,000 boxes. Every card numbered to 99 or less. So everything gets stamped.
5,000 boxes.
5,000 boxes.
Or
yes.
10, right? 500 made, you said? 500 cases?
500 cases
With
of 10.
Yeah, it's
10
5,000 boxes.
box case.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, I'm terrible. That's why I can't do fifth grade math with my daughter.
Right.
But yeah, 5,000 boxes made, so completely sold out instantly, and now there's a big resale market. And you've got every player, you got every character you want. You got Spider-Man, you got Mickey Mouse, you got Minnie Mouse, you got Donald Duck, you got Moana, you've got Chewbacca, you have the Marvel properties, you have the Disney properties, you have the Pixar properties, and there's no inserts. It's just all characters, a 100-card set, all numbered to 99 or less, all the way down to a Superfractor. It's very interesting. I think the cards look great. I'll have to see what the secondary market does. But I wanted to bring up this point with you guys because I think Topps is literally creating, not only with this product, but with every single product, they're creating a resale market on this stuff for the people that are getting in line and getting it on Topps.com. Because I don't think a lot of customers know this. When something drops on Topps.com, like, for example, WWE Chrome Sapphire dropped last week, the public paid $250. We were offered it later at $450 from Topps. So literally, if you get these boxes on Topps.com, which is extremely hard to do, and I know there's a lot of bots going after it, they're like they're not artificially, but they're making the print run so small and such a low price that these people are making money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So and that's got to be an internal strategy. I would assume is to like dribble out like 10 to 20%, and then the rest goes into the market at a higher price. But they didn't do it with Disney.
Yeah, I was like, this one specifically though, they did not hold any back.
They did not. But I believe they did it this way. If it was my opinion, is to build the anticipation, to make it a very short print run, and to see these things just skyrocket. Because they could have made this set with base cards and had like one numbered card a box and then had a bunch of base cards, and they would be able to make triple to quadruple the run. But they didn't. They made every single card numbered from 99 down to the Superfractor. So there's very limited amount of boxes. So when they release something after this, they're able to make more, and they probably already have a demand there.
And they also are going to have the data on what the secondary market is looking to pay for it.
For these cards.
And that will go into coming up with an initial offering next year, or when they do another one.
When they start selling to shops and sellers and stuff like that. I mean, Cody was looking at the checklist with me. I mean, it seems like it's everybody you want.
It's all the biggest names from all of their major IP.
Are we not concerned though? At some point, like in 5 years and 10 years, we have 5 to 10 of these releases every year, and there's only so many like Mickey cards that you can get. Like, what's going to be the difference between this one and one in 5 years?
Right. That's going to be the big question here. And I think we've sort of seen that with Star Wars, is that I think the first year or two where Fanatics was fully on board, and there was a year there where it was like, does it feel like we're getting too many Star Wars releases where we're seeing the same names, the same subjects, auto checklists that are just not as eye-popping as they can be or should be.
But I also feel with Star Wars, you have enough movies to pull from. You have animated series. Like, you have so much that you can pull from.
Oh, well, if you're talking about that, Disney's going
to have 2 or 3 movies, animated movies a year.
This is
what
where
if those movies don't have, like...
That's the other... What if they don't pop?
Yeah, what if they don't pop?
Yeah, that's going to be the risk here. But, one, you have a backlog of... You can first off say, all right, well, the Disney animated movies, those are iconic. Let's just make a box set of every single one. You literally could.
No, I mean,
some of those movies aren't as popular.
That's actually what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's where you start.
I'm all, do they make smaller print runs and just have it centralized
Steamboat Willie?
One release?
You could. I mean, this is what maybe the strategy is. Hey,
now
what's the big anniversaries this year? Oh, it's the 25th anniversary of this movie. I don't know, Hercules or something.
But let's
make a box set.
We've seen this. We saw it with Space Jam. You're at the mercy of making sure you get the product out in a timely manner, so people don't move on.
Right, you probably have to get it out within a couple weeks of it releasing.
Yeah, it needs to be fresh in everybody's mind.
Or it's something that's nostalgic enough that you have to capitalize, especially, okay, who's buying cards? Okay, it's people born, it's in the age range of 20 to 45. Let's hone in on the movies of the Disney era that they loved, that we now have the IP for. Let's make a Toy Story set that's like really high end and really nice. Let's make all these 90s Disney movies, Lion King and all that we can hone in, and that demographic is going to eat up.
Well, and one thing you could do is, like, a lot of these, especially these Pixar movies, have a lot of celebrities doing the voices, right? So you could have, Jamie Foxx sign that card, or I guess you could do, like, if you have a pretty star-studded cast of
Tom Hanks,
Hanks from or Tim Allen, right? So you could do a Toy Story only. And have those autographs as chases. I guess you could pull it off that way. I think the live-action Lion King had a lot of famous people in it too, right?
In it. Yep.
So you could release those movies if you have some big name actors that are doing the voices and maybe have the autographs of the characters and Jamie Foxx as the guy from what was that movie called?
Soul. That I think
As Soul,
we were trying
right.
as we were looking at all the checklists and trying to figure out who's this guy, who's that guy. Oh yeah, that movie. I remember that one. That's what they're gonna have to do. Is there? And I'm sure that's what they're thinking of. Is
I don't know if like the autograph content is what is going to drive these releases though. I think they can. I think
and
they can.
hasn't had to.
I think they can get away with not doing autograph content. And when you do autograph content, then it's just a lot harder to put these products together. It takes a lot more time.
I think that if you're making a movie-specific stuff like that, then you have to have some sort of incentive. It doesn't have to be loaded with that stuff. But you're right. They've also kind of proven already in these early releases and that UK Disney Topps Chrome, like, just throw a facsimile on there and people are... We've seen with Kakawao, same thing. Just throw a facsimile on there and that's good enough for a lot of folks. Now, how long can you keep doing that?
Right.
Is, I guess, the question. Like, how in 10 years from now, when there's 150, more than that, when there's 1,000 facsimile Mickey Mouse autos on cards, then who is it going to crater where people are like, oh, these are just the same fake auto every single time on a different card stock?
I think you can do also so much more memorabilia stuff though, and
Film
even with these like animated like movies, if they have like any sketches that
oh man, that would be cool.
like stuff like that they can
From the
like
artist.
cut up.
I
from
can
the
tell
artist.
you if they would have me hook, line, and sinker if they're like, here's a Disneyland set where they offer like, here's a piece of a ride vehicle,
dude,
or
yeah.
here's like stuff like that, like blueprints.
Then you could do all the characters you could take Mickey Mouse as the character at
right.
Disneyland.
Oh man, now
and have
I'm
him sign it.
get myself all
God.
hyped
There
up
we
for a
go.
set that
There we
doesn't
go.
exist. Yeah.
Oh, we got to do that.
Here's the balance of your checking account after going to going to Disneyland.
After buying 10 pretzels.
exactly.
Mickey Mouse pretzels. Here's a question for you guys. Do you think people that would collect this Disney Genesis set are more likely to collect sports cards or Pokemon if they were collecting something else besides this?
Got to be Pokemon.
I would say Pokemon.
You think so?
Yeah.
Got to be.
It's more of a TCG type.
Yeah.
I think there's more of a crossover into sports though than there is for Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because Disney is just so all everywhere. It's so all encompassing. Everybody, even if you're not super into it, you probably grew up and watched Disney movies as a kid. Or heck, now that they own Marvel and Star Wars, you might have just were into comics as a kid, or you went and saw Spider-Man in theaters, or you liked Star Wars, or whatever. Like, even if you're not super into it, you've had some interaction with it.
Dan's like the least likely Disney person. Was there one movie you watched a lot of at Disney when you were a kid?
A lot of maybe Lion King.
Yeah. Which was, it was a huge movie. It was everywhere.
I mean, I did see the original Toy Story when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I've never been an animated guy. So even when I was a kid, I wasn't like super into animated movies. I'd be more into like the kid, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids would be a movie that I would be into,
which is a Disney movie.
which is a Disney movie.
There you go. Yeah.
I would say that was probably one of the movies I watched the most of. Just like it was,
Yeah.
kids climbing on an ant. I mean, it's just give me more of that.
That
It was cool.
like Karate Kid,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
those type of movies.
Yeah, like the coming of age kids
Yeah.
movies where
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
My mom did daycare, so I swear I probably she had Little Mermaid on like all the time. So I think I probably saw that thing 100 times just because it was always VHS. So only a couple VHSs you'd put in there, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I would say, and there is a lot of Disney animated movies that I've never seen.
Yeah.
And we can even go back to like the old ones. Like I just didn't. I literally, I think I've only seen like maybe a couple in my life.
Wow.
Like Lion King and Toy Story and Inside Out. Is that?
Yeah, it's Pixar,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I saw that one.
There you go.
The first one
Yeah.
Not the one that just came out. Yeah.
might be it.
Wow.
I didn't see
Aladdin. You didn't see Aladdin?
Not all the way through. Maybe bits and pieces of it.
Robin Williams with the iconic scenes.
Dan is not the key demo.
No, not at all.
Disney
Not at all.
It's our tops is Disney. But here's the other thing: is there's properties that they own now that they haven't even touched yet. Like I think that I don't know how it works with Topps, and this is why like we're gonna get into like what the other companies have when it comes to non-sports IPs, but where I think it's gonna be so hard to catch up because they haven't even touched their whole like when they bought 20th Century Fox a few years ago, where you now have things like Alien, you now have Avatar, you now have the Planet of the Apes, you have like all of this other IP that you can throw out there potentially in a trading card set that would do well. Like I think an Avatar set like would do gangbusters. That would be big. Alien is I know there's a huge fan base for that. So and that's all beyond. That's not even aiming at kids. Like that's aiming at an older demographic. Where I just don't know what Panini and Upper Deck have to offer. Maybe Upper Deck more than Panini, but I don't know what they have to offer.
Yeah, and you're saying Upper Deck's going to be releasing the DC Comics stuff this week, right?
DC Annual, which, it's their first DC Comics. They announced it last summer. DC Comics is going to swap. We're going to swap it out for Marvel because Marvel's moving on. Kind of quietly happened. Like the Marvel news was so much louder than the DC news, which makes sense because of where DC Comics is at versus where Marvel is currently at. Despite the fact that like Superman and Batman, I think, are more recognizable. Well, I don't know if I can say that anymore, but for years it was like Superman, Batman. You just you ask someone to name a superhero, and they're like Superman, Batman.
Ah, man,
now it's different.
I feel Batman is probably it's like the Michael Jordan of superheroes.
That's the thing, and that's what I think Upper Deck can
Spider-Man's
lean on.
LeBron.
Spider-Man's LeBron.
Right. Upper Deck can lean on Batman and Superman, Batman especially.
But who else? Okay, so
Green Lantern.
You got Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Aquaman.
Wonder Woman was pretty big recently, right?
Yeah, that movie that first movie was very, very popular.
Aquaman.
Aquaman was big. That movie was surprisingly big.
Joker.
Momoa.
The Joker.
Yeah, you got all of the Batman villains, which themselves are huge. But yeah, it's clear in the last
Ant-Man.
That's Marvel.
Oh.
In the last decade and a half, Marvel has lapped DC in terms of pop culture relevance.
Iron Man. Marvel.
Iron Man's Marvel. That's the thing is I think now if you name most of
Captain
them,
America?
that's Marvel.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It
just feels like whoever's been in charge of DC really does a good a job as Disney has marketing Marvel.
They screwed it. What they tried to do when Marvel
is there a Batman ride anywhere? Like maybe Universal Studios? No.
Well, they have it let's see. I think they have them at Six Flags.
Oh yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're all if you just slapped on
they have the Superman. The Superman ride.
Yeah, but honestly, if you just slapped on a different logo on that, there's nothing that says Superman.
It's like Top Gun over here.
Right. They play the music and you go up in the air. But if you slapped on just High Rider, just whatever, some generic thing, you would be like, there's no difference. So they've not fully taken advantage of it.
That's true because they don't put the theme process into their movies like Disneyland does.
No, they do not go into the theming. Universal does that.
Like
Disney
Disneyland,
does
you go on the Star Wars ride, and when you're in line, you're pretty much immersed into the reality of the Star Wars.
You are fully immersed, whereas in Six Flags, you're watching music videos from 1997 on a dirty TV.
Yep.
Kind of like how Paramount was when they owned Great America.
Yes,
Same
very
thing.
much.
Some of the music and
Very,
stuff.
very
But it's a
much.
good point because that was Top Gun for a long time, and it's been Flight Deck for probably close to 20 years now.
It's the same.
Everybody still refers to it as Top Gun.
Yeah. Now, I will say the one thing I think, and I put it in our notes, but I think the one thing going for Upper Deck is that I think Marvel movies, I won't say the company as a whole, Marvel movies are starting to become less relevant. They're not as popular as they were even 2019, 2020 feels like the peak of when it was just so all encompassing in the culture. And things are kind of coming back around. The movies are not as well beloved. The box office isn't as good. And they've totally reset the DC movies where they're going to have a new Superman this year and trying to start fresh. So there's a lot of positive momentum.
Who's playing Superman?
A young up-and-coming actor that I can't tell you the name of right now. I don't remember his name.
Sick.
Yeah. So
Not Christopher Reeves.
not the late great.
that's
the
right,
one
he
and
did
only.
pass,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
passed. Yeah.
Tobey Maguire did he play?
He was Spider-Man.
He was Spider-Man.
He was Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've had two other Spider-Man since Tobey Maguire, though.
Yes.
Which my daughter's been watching them. It's Tom.
You've had Andrew Garfield in between, then you had Tom Holland, who's been the most recent one.
Andrew Garfield was Superman?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's hard to they're recasting these movies every day, basically. So what I'm trying to say is Upper Deck there's a glimpse of hope here, but the other thing is how many tie-in Marvel movie things do we see with Upper Deck where like it came out like 2 years after the movie would come out?
Yeah. This is a ridiculous question. Do they still make are they still currently adding storylines in the comic books?
Oh yeah, they're still actively making new comics.
Like they're still making like they have a new Batman. I can go out and get like a new Batman.
Yeah. They're still doing new all sorts of new comics.
Not many. That's a dying breed though. The comic book stores. There's not a lot of them anymore.
Yeah, they are sort of dying out.
You can go to I think those places. I mean, around here they call it Legends, but they also sell cards too. They have the Pokemon. They have the figurines. They have the comics. So there's I remember as a kid, there used to be a place called Brian's Books around here.
Oh yeah,
and it was just comics for the most part.
Yeah,
they had a few
cards,
but it was mostly walls and walls of all the new comics. Yeah. So lastly, there was a $10,000 Walt Disney cut auto. Am I reading this right?
Yeah, it was. I think it went, and I think it actually ended up selling for almost $15K. And it was taken for this is, just an interesting sort of side note as we enter this Topps Disney era. So a cut auto, which you can look it up, was slabbed full cut auto like on an index card. Walt Disney. You can see it fully written out nicely. And then that cut auto was purchased for $4,000. It got in the hands of Topps. They put it in that Topps Chrome Disney UK set. They put it in a card where you can see the outline of Walt Disney in there, and it cuts off the name almost completely, and it's sort of you just see the Y of the Disney, and it sold for almost $10,000 more just because it was put in the product. Even though the auto is like, if you didn't see it say Walt Disney on the bottom there, it would be and didn't see his face, you'd be like, guess that auto. Who is that?
No idea.
Yeah, you don't. No idea. I can't even decipher what it says. So anyway,
it's tough. I mean, it's tough to build a card around a cut auto. We've seen it time and time again. Where it's tough.
Yeah, and I saw there was a little bit of going. I think the seller of that 4K auto was a little salty about they put it in the card, it doesn't even look good, and it sold for $10,000 more. What the hell?
Shut up! You got $4,000 for it. You got what you wanted.
Yeah, but you put it in a card like that, it makes it collect it just
an officially licensed,
and it's a superfractor around it. It's a superfractor design. That's
so true. And the fact is, it's got the Disney logo there. It's got it's official at that point.
Because if it was cut up and put in a Leaf product, it'd probably go for $5,000, maybe $1,000 more than what he sold for.
Right.
Because I don't know if you could use Walt Disney's face on a Leaf card. I don't know. Maybe he's public domain now. I don't know. But a lot of times you can't use. Unless they're a president or a government official, you can't use their face.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even think about some of the other. I mean, I could go on and on about other IP that they could use.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones is owned by Disney.
We just received, and I see it in your notes here, a flag of Scooby-Doo to put up in the store because Upper Deck has Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where Upper Deck is going to try to lean into is they think they have a deal with Warner Brothers right now. So they've only said Looney Tunes, which we've seen, DC Comics, and Scooby-Doo. So there's other properties they can go with. There's a lot of other stuff potentially.
It's tough out there.
Yeah,
it's tough out there.
I love Scooby-Doo as a kid.
I do too. I don't know the status of the Lord of the Rings stuff. I know that was owned by Rittenhouse for years. I don't know where it is now because that's a Warner Brothers property technically, but it also is one that floats around everywhere. So. We'll see, but it's going to be
somebody's
hard.
got to put together a good music set though. There just needs to be. Panini tried with the Americano that was kind of centered around country music.
President Rolling Stone just got delayed, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
But
see, that's
but there's no autos in that though. I know. It's just going to be.
That's tough.
Yeah, I mean,
tough.
Yeah. Did you guys Live Golf came out? Did you guys check that out?
Live Golf. Yeah. It's got Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
So
and Bryce DeChambeau.
Yeah. You're right. Music would be a good way to shift if any of these companies are what niche do we find in the non-sports entertainment
But I feel like you have
lane.
to do the eras, and I know I've talked to people about this, and we may have talked about this on the podcast. It gets a little tricky because you have the labels involved, right? So unless you get a label that has 100 artists and you could use just their likenesses, you'd have to like contact each label. You could probably do it without logos, but then it's like, it'd be so cool to be able to collect album cover, like maybe album cover designs, tour shirts, stuff like that with the autographs in there. But I mean, if I was doing it, I'd do like, 80s. You could do hair metal. You could do 90s. You could do 90s pop or boy bands. You could do, 90s like West Coast rap. You could start breaking it down.
Well, we're seeing. I mean, okay, we have the Prism Rolling Stone coming out. Rolling Stones. There's also the Garbage Pail Kids Green Day set that'll be coming out
at some point.
At some point, yeah.
So I think the way you can do it is you got to do it around one artist, one group.
And for me, I'm such a big music lover. I'd like to chase more than one thing. I mean, which is probably too hard.
I mean,
Like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame set would be cool.
If they came out with
something like that.
they came out with the Metallica set, I'd be into it.
I'd be into that.
And it would do well. I think that would be popular. Yeah.
You could almost do one for each album. You could just start the first one or series ones, Kill 'Em All, and then you move to Ride the Lightning, and so on and so forth.
Upper Deck, make a Black Diamond Metallica set.
That would be sick.
Yeah, I know we were looking at the James Bond one from over the weekend.
Lars loves
have
money,
right
and
now.
he would sell it. He would help sell it too. I mean, they have every type of memorabilia possible.
Yeah.
On Metallica.com. But all right, guys, we'll check out Genesis. We'll be breaking it on Mojobreak.com as well as Fanatics Live. Also, Prism Fast Break Basketball comes out this week. I believe is Illusions football coming out this week?
Already out.
Already came out
on Friday.
Yep.
All right.
We had about 30,000 releases last week, and this week, nice tidy about 3 or 4 or 5. So
sweet. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to the podcast, and make sure you watch our Lendell White Break Room on Mojobreak Media. Check that out as well, and we'll see you guys next week on The Hype. Peace.